Welcome to Train Signal. You're watching a video about certification. In this video, I'm going to go over the new generation of certifications for Server 2008. And yes, I said new generation, meaning we have a whole new set of letters. No more MCSA or MCSE. And speaking of MCSA and MCSE, I'm going to go over the upgrade paths on how to get from your old MCSA or MCSE to this new generation of certifications. Then I will show you exactly how to sign up for a Microsoft exam, and then we'll wrap things up by going over some handy exam preparation tips. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the new generation of Server 2008 certifications. And yep, just like it says here, new alphabet soup for everyone. So it's a whole new set of letters out there. And so basically, for a network administrator, here are the new certification blocks. We first of all have MCTS, which is Microsoft Certified Technology Specialist, which you would obtain by taking any one of many different exams, but we'll go over that in just a few minutes. Moving up a notch from that, you would have MCITP, Microsoft Certified IT Professional, and then we have the Server Administrator flavor, and then we also have the MCITP Enterprise Administrator flavor. And again, just to emphasize, there is no MCSE or A for Windows Server 2008. They have completely done away with those certifications. What we have here is a whole new block of certifications, where here you can see at the bottom, we have that Technology Specialist. Then moving up, you'll see that we have the IT Professional, the ITP certification for network administrators. Now, if you are a programmer, then instead of the IT Professional, you would go for the Professional Developer. But I will tell you that this course has nothing to do with any exam that will help you towards the Professional Developer, and that's a whole different program. But if you are looking to do this from a programmer's point of view, that is the equivalent to the IT Professional. And then at the top level here, you'll see we have the Microsoft Certified Architect. Now, this Microsoft Certified Architect is kind of an unknown certification right now. There's not a whole lot out there on it. And, you know, Microsoft changes this stuff on what almost seems like a daily basis. So even by the time you're watching this, there may be more information out on the Architect series. As a matter of fact, even right now, I can tell you that there is another series that is being introduced, and that series is called the Master Series. And that Master Series is either going to go right here or possibly is going to be equal to the Architect. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty. It's just rolling out right now. But in the meantime, for right now, let's just worry about getting Technology Specialist and IT Professional. So let's talk about exactly what you need to take for each of these new credentials. Well, first of all, to be an MCTS, you just need to take any one exam from what's actually a pretty large selection of exams. One of the really cool things about the MCTS, the Microsoft Certified Technology Specialist, is that because each exam gives you a separate MCTS certification for that particular area of technology, well, rather than having a whole bunch of different logos to have to try to put on your resume or business card or letterhead or whatever it might be, you now have the ability to go ahead and build a nifty logo using Microsoft's Logo Builder. And as a matter of fact, I know it's kind of small on the screen, but right here, this happens to be a logo that I created for myself, which represents 3 of the Technology Specialist certifications that I currently have. Now, in order to become an MCITP Server Administrator from scratch, okay, I'll talk about upgrading in just a little bit, but from scratch, meaning you don't have any current Microsoft certification, you actually have to take 3 exams. And those 3 exams are, first of all, the 70-640, which will give you an MCTS in Active Directory, the 70-642, which will give you an MCTS in Network Infrastructure, and then the 70-646, which is going to go ahead and finally make you an MCITP server administrator. Now, if you want to get MCITP Enterprise Administrator, from scratch, it will take 5 exams. Now, these 5 exams are, first of all, you have to take either 70-620 or 624, which are both Vista certification exams. Yes, I know it might sound weird to be an enterprise administrator, you need to take a client exam, but yes, you do, because in order to really oversee an enterprise, you have to understand clients along with your servers. So after you take your Vista client exam, you again have to take 640 and 42, just like you did with the server administrator. You have to also take 70-643, which gives you an MCTS on application infrastructure. And then finally, you need to take the 70-647, which is the exam that makes you an IT professional enterprise administrator. Now, the MCTS, just to try to help you relate with what you might know about existing Microsoft certifications, many people consider the MCTS to be like the MCP. The MCITP Server Administrator, a lot of people relate that with the old MCSA, which if you think about it, Microsoft Certified Systems Administrator was the old title, and that really is like being a server administrator. And then the MCITP Enterprise Administrator is thought to be pretty much taking the place of MCSE. Instead of the Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, now you're an Enterprise Administrator, which is really what an engineer always was. Okay, now that we understand all the new alphabet soup, let's talk about upgrades. For an MCSA in Windows Server 2003 to move up to MCITP Server Administrator, you only need 2 exams, whereas from scratch you had to take 3. And the reason why is because you can take one exam, the 70-648, which will take the place of 2 of your MCTS certifications. And I know it's kind of small in the picture here, but the 2 certifications are the Active Directory and the Network Infrastructure certifications. So 648 takes the place of having to take 640 and 642 individually. But in order to be eligible to take the 648 exam, you must be an MCSA in Windows Server 2003. Once you've taken that upgrade exam, then that leaves you with only one more exam to take, and that is the same 70-646 that one would have to do if you were doing it from scratch to get your MCITP Server Administrator certification. So you pretty much get to save on one exam if you're already an MCSA in Server 2003. Now, if you're an MCSA in Windows Server 2003 and you want to upgrade to ITP Enterprise Administrator, well, again, if you were doing it from scratch, you would have to take 5 exams, whereas in this case, you only have to take 4. And the reason why is because, once again, 648, which you would be eligible for by being an MCSA in Windows Server 2003, takes the place of the 640 and 642 exams. So you get 2 for the price of 1. But you still are going to be on the hook for your Vista Client exam, your Application Infrastructure exam, and the 70-647 MCITP Enterprise exam. Okay, so in order to upgrade from MCSA Server 2003 to either of the MCITPs in Windows Server 2008, basically you get to save on one exam because you get to take that one upgrade exam, which is you get 2 MCTS certifications for. All right, now what if you're an MCSE in Windows Server 2003? Well, if you're an MCSE and you want to go to MCITP Server Administrator, again, you only have to take 2 exams. But in this case, instead of 70-648 being the upgrade exam, you could take 70-649. And here's the thing. You actually can take 70-648, which would give you 2 MCTS certifications, and then 646 to make yourself an ITP server administrator. But let's be real. If you're an MCSE and they're going to let you take the 70-649 exam, which takes the place of 640, 642, and 643, and will give you 3 MCTS certifications for the price of 1, I'd do it. So that's what I recommend. Although if your only interest is server administrator, you could just take the 70-648 just like the MCSA upgrade. Now, the reason that the 649 was really created is if you're looking to upgrade from MCSE 2003 to MCITP Enterprise Administrator. And that's because instead of having to take 5 exams, now it goes all the way down to only 3 exams. And again, it's because you get 3 for the price of 1 with this 649 exam, so you get to save on 2 exams. But you still have to take a Vista Client exam, and you still have to take the 70-647 Enterprise Administrator exam. I hope that wasn't too confusing for you. If it was, by all means, go back, rewind, watch the last few minutes, go to the appropriate portion that relates to your situation, and then if you still need additional help, you can always go to the Microsoft Learning website. And I'll give you the URL for that in just a little bit. Alright, so now we understand the alphabet soup, and now we know how to upgrade if we already have some of the old alphabet soup. But how do we actually sign up to take these exams? Well, we have one website to sign up for all the exams, and that is Prometric.com. And it's really not that tough. Now, here's the thing. The reason I say one website to sign up for all of them is because Prometric is now the exclusive provider for Microsoft exams. So there's no guessing about, well, should I go here? Should I go here? Is one thing better than another? Just one place to go. And when you go to Prometric.com, it really is quite simple. All you have to do is right here, you'll see for test takers, you go ahead and enter in that you want to be taking an IT certification exam, and it's going to be a Microsoft exam. And then down here, you go ahead and say what state you're in, and when you go to the next screen, it'll ask you other questions like what exam do you want to take, and it'll give you a list of centers that are in your state. It really shouldn't be that difficult for you to do. Now, one other thing I want you to know before you go and sign up for your exam. Microsoft periodically offers what's called their second shot promotion. And what it means, just what it sounds like. It means that if you go and take an exam and you fail it, they will let you go back and try again a second time for free. Now, I don't care how confident you may or may not be, I completely would never understand why somebody wouldn't take the time, it's only a few moments, to go to Microsoft's website and register for this second shot offer. I do it on every one of my exams. It doesn't matter if you go in and pass. If you go in and pass, it's not like they say, well, why did you register for the second shot? No. You just always have that available in your back pocket if you need it. And I will also tell you, if you're one of those people who are always really nervous about taking exams, and I'll tell you, over the years, I've met many people who totally knew what they were doing. They knew how to answer those questions, but they were failing exams just because they get nervous. Well, this second shot offer gives you the ability to relax those nerves, because you can go in with the freedom knowing that if you fail, no big deal. I'll just come back and do it again. So this offer comes and goes. I happen to know that the offer is currently in existence right now, but may or may not be by the time that you are listening to this. So always go to Microsoft's website and check to see if that offer is available. Alright, so on to the good stuff here. This is where I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get prepared to pass a certification exam. Now, this course is getting you prepared for the 70-646 exam. And what I recommend, if you feel the need to get extra supplemental reading beyond this course, is the MCTS Self-Paced Training Kit, Exam 70-646 of course, Windows Server Administration from Microsoft Press. Now, this is something that you may not necessarily need. This is only if you feel that you really need some extra supplemental reading material. And I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be a bad idea to grab hold of this and use it as a reference guide. Okay? I've already gone over most of what you should need to know in order to go ahead and pass this exam, but you know, it couldn't hurt to have a reference guide available as you're going through if there's anything that you're still just not quite feeling right about and maybe want to have some extra ideas for labs and things like that. Now, besides this book, I also recommend that you take the Transcender Practice Exam several times. Now, we include the Transcender Practice Exam with this course, but I want to caution you. I don't want you to take this exam with the sole purpose of seeing how many times it takes before you can get to 100%. That's actually a big problem that I've seen with my students over the years. They go ahead and get a hold of one of these practice exams, and all they do is go ahead and take it, and maybe they get a 50%, and then they go and take it again, and they get a 70%. They take it again, they get an 85%. They take it again, and take it again, take it again. And eventually they're getting 95, 98, 99, 100%. Well, if you're just going to keep taking the exam over and over and over again, well, all you're doing is subconsciously memorizing the answers to all the questions. What you really need to do is utilize the Transcender Practice Exam as additional study material. When you go through these practice exams, look up the stuff that you miss either in this course or in the Microsoft Press book or out on the internet or wherever you need to go look it up. Sometimes looking it up means that you're going to go ahead and just sit down at a Windows Server 2008 computer and figure it out. But it's very important that you look up the stuff, not only that you miss, but I'm going to take this a step further and I'm going to say look up the stuff that you got right. In other words, that's another big problem that a lot of my students have had is they'll go through a practice exam and they will only put additional studying into the questions they got wrong. Well, sometimes you might get a question right because you guessed, or maybe you deduced yourself to the right answer, but for the wrong reasons. So make sure that you really go through and study all the questions in detail to help get ready for the certification exam. Now, I mentioned just a moment ago that when you're taking the Transcender Practice exams to go back to this course to look things up, well, I recommend that you go through this course at least twice. There's just a certain reality that you're only going to remember so much going through the course once. Not only that, but when you go through the second time, you may just flat out catch something that you didn't even catch the first time. So I recommend that you go through this course as many times as possible. Another thing that I recommend here, and I know this was mentioned early on in the course, but get some virtual machines and get out there and push some buttons. If you are trying to watch this course and not even touch Windows Server 2008, then you're probably going to really find yourself struggling to pass the exam. Microsoft writes the exams with the intent of experienced people taking them. So make yourself one of these experienced people by installing Windows Server 2008 and playing around with it. And finally, you can go to the Microsoft Learning website and make sure that you know the specific objectives for this exam. And I've included the URL for this site right here. http://www.microsoft.com/learning. Now, those were all tips that would help you to get ready for a specific exam. But I'll tell you what, I want to give you some tips that you can use for pretty much any exam that you're going to take. So, here, on the day of the test itself, don't stay up all night studying. Get a good night's sleep. Now, I know that's not technically on the day of the test, so I suppose that would be the night before the test, but I really can't emphasize this enough. A lot of people think that the only way they're going to pass the test is to stay up all night cramming for the test. It is a proven fact that the human brain functions better when it's well rested. So do all your cramming 2 nights before, and then the night before the exam, give your brain some rest. Now, when you go to the test center itself, leave your cell phone and pagers and PDAs and books and anything and everything else you can imagine in your car. And the reason why is because when you go in the test center, there are rules about what you can and cannot bring into the test room. And I will tell you, the answer is you can essentially bring nothing into the test room. So different test centers are a little bit stricter with this than others, but do yourself a favor. Don't add extra stress by having somebody strip searching you on the way in and maybe saying, hey, look, I got to take this from you, I got to take that from you, and I'm going to go put it in this locker over here. And then maybe you're thinking to yourself, I don't like my stuff being over in a locker. Just leave it in your car where you know it's safe. Bring in only the 2 forms of ID that are required to take the test and your car keys. So this kind of goes along with what I was just saying about leaving everything in the car. You have to have these 2 forms of ID. If you don't, they're going to kick you out. You're not going to be able to take the test. So bring those, bring your car keys if you drove and you have to have those, and nothing else. Now, before you sit down for the actual test, take a moment to just stop and breathe. Just take a nice deep breath and relax. It's just a test. If you don't pass the test, you know what that means? It means you have to take it again. It's not the end of the world. So relax. I have seen people do all sorts of things before going in and taking a test. I have seen people have flat out panic attacks. I've seen people pass out. I have seen all kinds of crazy things. Don't put yourself through this. Just stop, take a breath, and relax. During the test, we can kind of put these 2 points together. During the test, don't forget to breathe. It's kind of that same concept. I've actually watched people pass out while taking the test, and they passed out for no other reason than they forgot to breathe. They were so stressed out about the test, they just stopped breathing. They essentially held their breath until they passed out. So again, before the test, stop, breathe, and relax. During the test, continue to breathe, continue to relax. Now, another tip that I'm going to give you while taking a test is to go ahead and mark questions for review the first time through if you have to think too long about any one of them. What I mean by that is, rather than trying to take every single question one at a time, finding one that you're just totally stumped on and wasting 20-30 minutes on that one, you know what? Mark it. These exams allow you to mark questions to come back to. Mark that question, don't give it another thought, click next, go to the next question, and just continue on with the exam until you're done. And then at the very end, you can come back and answer those questions later. And the reason why I recommend this is because these exams are timed. And if you devote too much time to the really, really difficult questions, you might find yourself running out of time at the end. And, here's a for instance for you. Let's say you look up at the clock and you see that there's 1 minute left to your exam time. And you've got 5 questions left. What are you going to do? Well, you're just going to go ahead and click through all 5 questions as fast as you can, just randomly picking answers. Why are you going to do that? Well, because you don't get penalized for guessing, meaning a blank question, one that you did not answer, is wrong. And a question that you actually answered wrong, well, it's also wrong. So it's equal. But if you randomly guess and it's right, well, then you get it right. That's better. You don't want, for those, let's say, 5 questions that are left, to maybe be the easiest 5 questions, but you never even read them. You just started randomly clicking buttons because you knew you were out of time. Make those really difficult questions, the ones that you don't know the answers to, the ones that you are randomly guessing answers. Now, the biggest tip that I can give you, and you notice I even wrote the words bigger here. Know the material. That is the bottom line that a lot of people just don't get. There is no better way to be prepared for an exam than to just flat out learn the material. Go to Microsoft's learning site. Look at the objectives. Sit down with a Windows Server 2008 computer, as well as this course, Transcender, Microsoft Press, whatever you need, and know the material. Go through and make sure you know exactly how to do everything that Microsoft says they're going to test you on. If you do that, guess what? You're going to pass the test, and everything else doesn't matter. So actually take the time to learn something. Don't try to memorize things and then go pass the test, because really that's not going to do you any good. All right. After watching this video, you should now be able to describe the requirements for both the new MCTS and MCITP certifications. You need to understand there is new alphabet soup, and this is what we're going to have going forward. You should also be able to describe the upgrade paths for MCSAs and MCSEs to the new MCITP certifications. And finally, you should know how to sign up for an exam on Prometric's website and be ready to go out and take the test.